The departure marks the first of several changes expected as the show's new chief begins reshaping the cast. An EastEnders actor's final appearance has now been broadcast after the performer was let go from the series. The actor was dropped from the BBC drama after around a year and a half on screen, having joined as the long-lost son of George Knight. Following a fling with his former stepmum and an abandoned storyline involving plans to modernise the area and overhaul the market, it became clear his character was on borrowed time. In the latest episode, fans saw him bid farewell to everyone he'd built connections with during his stay in the community. He parted ways with his ex, embraced his siblings, handed his treasured vehicle to his uncle for safekeeping, and warned his father to keep his distance from Nicola Mitchell. After that, he drove away from the neighbourhood to begin a fresh chapter in Dubai. A show source previously commented, producers chose not to extend his contract, and he completed filming his last scenes a few weeks ago. He was obviously disappointed, but he knows this is how the industry works. Viewers will see his exit before Christmas, and the character hasn't been completely written out. However, he isn't the only cast member preparing to bow out in the near future. It was earlier revealed that two more actors, Brazier and Molly Rainford, will also depart the programme this year. A spokesperson confirmed, "We can officially announce that Brazier will be exiting EastEnders, and we wish him every success going forward." A TV insider explained, "Producers recently sat down with Bobby with a new plot in mind, but it coincided with him feeling ready to explore opportunities beyond the show. The timing suited everyone, although his exit won't be shown just yet. He's had a strong run in the role, but this is the right moment for him to move on, and for the soap to bring Freddie Slater's journey to a close." The BBC also announced Molly's departure, stating, "We can confirm Molly Rainford will leave EastEnders later this year, and we send her our best wishes." Another insider added, "Molly joined 2 years ago and has taken on some big storylines during her time." As she began thinking about new paths in her career, a meeting was held about the character's future, and both sides agreed it was time for Anna Knight to make her exit from Walford. EastEnders airs heartbreaking Harry cliffhanger amid huge Teddy update. The latest episode delivered an emotionally charged twist for Harry Mitchell after a major development involving Teddy Mitchell. Earlier in the week, Oki pulled a knife on Kojo inside his flat. When Harry jumped in to protect Kojo, he and Oki ended up in a violent struggle that resulted in Oki being accidentally killed by Harry. In the aftermath, Harry attempted to surrender to the authorities, but Teddy intervened and offered himself up instead. He deliberately placed his own prints on the weapon and was taken into custody for Oki's death. In the previous installment, once he'd been detained, Teddy called Nicola to tell her he was now being formally accused of murder. In the following episode, Nicola informed Barney and Harry that Teddy was facing charges over Oki's death. Barney remained unaware of Harry's part in the incident, while Nicola tried to keep Harry level-headed as Barney broke down emotionally. Speaking quietly in the hallway, Nicola reassured Harry, saying his father had done what he believed was necessary and would do it again if it meant keeping Harry safe. Barney, confused by the conversation, demanded answers, prompting Nicola to claim Teddy had only acted to protect himself. Elsewhere, Junior Knight was making plans to move overseas. When he came across Kojo frantically knocking on Harry's door, he grew angry after learning their father intended to send Kojo back to Ghana. Harry, ignoring the commotion outside, anxiously grabbed his phone and sent a message to someone named Glenn asking where he was. Meanwhile, inside the prison, Teddy revealed to Nicola that he intended to plead guilty in order to shield Harry, leaving her devastated. He told her gently that he had already informed the authorities of his decision and anticipated her reaction. Nicola, shocked, questioned whether he had lost his senses. Teddy insisted to the distraught Nicola that he saw no other option. He explained he couldn't allow the case to reach trial and was willing to serve up to 15 years if it meant his son remained free. Back at home, Things worsened when Nicola discovered that Harry had slipped back into drug use. Finding him barely responsive on the sofa, she urgently called for medical help, saying, "It's my son, I think he's overdosed." EastEnders fans distracted by Ravi's appearance, minutes into BBC's show. As the fallout from Oki's death continued to spiral, it was Ravi who unexpectedly stole the spotlight among sharp-eyed EastEnders viewers. Fans were left baffled when Ravi appeared again on Thursday, November 13th, despite being assaulted by George Knight just days earlier. Earlier in the week, Oki's reign of intimidation came to a gruesome close when he was unintentionally killed by Harry Mitchell after a brutal confrontation. Their clash erupted shortly after Harry was freed from Oki's captivity, where he'd been forced into taking drugs. It also came to light that Kojo Asare had been coerced into dealing by the local crime figure, Ravi. Before Oki met his end, he cornered Kojo with a blade, demanding to know what had been said to the authorities and leaving him terrified for his life. On Tuesday, November 11th, former boxer George paid Ravi a tense visit after Kojo was left traumatized by the entire ordeal. Ravi, newly released by officers after agreeing to cooperate with them, handed George a drink while mockingly remarking that he was sorry not to be sitting in a prison cell. George immediately jumped to Kojo's defense, insisting he was the kindest man he'd ever known, before branding Ravi the lowest person he had ever encountered. He then ordered Ravi to stay away from Kojo and the rest of the family. But as George stepped toward the door, Ravi made a cruel remark about Kojo's autism. George retaliated with a punch to Ravi's face, but refrained from causing serious harm. By Thursday, November 13th, Junior Knight had also stopped by Ravi's place to warn him to keep his distance from Kojo. When the door swung open, Ravi looked noticeably uneasy, revealing a striking purple bruise around his eye, a painful souvenir from George's earlier punch. The dramatic colouring of the injury immediately became the focal point for viewers, who couldn't help but be drawn to the almost theatrical-looking mark. Many felt the bruise stood out more than anything else in the scene, distracting from the tense exchange at Ravi's doorstep. It wasn't long before social media lit up with comments about it. One baffled fan took to X to ask, "Is that makeup bruise on Ravi supposed to look like that?" Others chimed in with jokes, memes, and questions, debating whether the makeup team had gone overboard or if the exaggerated look was deliberate for dramatic effect. The conversation quickly shifted from the storyline itself to the unexpectedly eye-catching special effects. EastEnders continues to air from Monday to Thursday at 7:30 p.m. on BBC One, delivering new twists and shocks each week. For those who prefer watching ahead of schedule, episodes become available early on BBC iPlayer at 6 a.m, giving fans a chance to dive into the drama before it hits television screens.